I am Simon Parker, CIMA qualified, living and working in Switzerland. I've worked extensively in global finance, audit and supply chain roles in several multinationals, and I've seen firsthand the exciting development of the use of technology in company business processes. Together with this comes the challenging task of maintaining robust governance over those processes and over those systems. That's why I'm particularly excited to hear from the expert panel today. I've organized today's event, and you can message me on LinkedIn if you have any follow-up questions. To make the best use of your time, we're going to cover just 2 minutes on CIMA. In 2 minutes on CIMA, then we're going to jump into the main presentation. So CIMA is the Global Management Accounting Qualification with 150,000 members. CIMA people are qualified business leaders, financially qualified business leaders. We work in all industries and all sectors. To put it simply, an accountant will tell you how much profit you made yesterday, but a CIMA graduate will show you how to double that number for tomorrow. And that's management accounting. The CIMA qualification consists of 16 exams supported by verified professional experience. The study pathways covers financial skills, digital expertise, and strategic business leadership, all of which is on a focus of finance and governance. There are several entry points to the examination framework based on prior qualifications and experience. More information is available on the CIMA Global website. We're delighted today to partner with Protiviti for an event. Protiviti will be leading us through an expert discussion on the transformational journey in the role, tools, and expertise of internal audit. Protiviti are a global consulting company specialized in providing services in internal audit, as well as technology, risk and compliance, data analytics, and finance. Protiviti is headquartered in the USA and have recently expanded their European presence with new offices in Switzerland and Germany. After Protiviti, we'll welcome Darren Brindley from CIMA in England, who will show us how we can use the CIMA framework to build the skills and expertise necessary for future finance and audit leaders. Darren works with major employers globally to establish scalable and effective training at all levels of the organization. I hand you straight over to Protiviti here in Zurich for the Future Audit.
Hi everyone, or grüezi miteinander, as we say here in Zurich, Switzerland. We're delighted to be here today and excited to see so many of you dialing in. Simon, thank you for the introduction. Let me start by saying the Future Auditor has arrived. And today, we want to take you on a journey to explore the Future Auditor's mindset, behavior, knowledge, and skills. Before we embark on this journey and jump into the future, I'm excited to pause in the present just for a second and introduce today's panel of future auditors who will be describing this high-performing and forward-thinking mindset of the future auditor. Let's hear a few words from today's speakers. Anna, would you like starting?
Sure, thank you, Enika. Anna Riva, and my initials represent advanced and real time.
Hi, Sophie Krynauw from Zurich Group, and my initials stand for skills and kindness.
Hello everyone, I'm Angelica Perini, and A stands for adventurous and P for passionate.
Hi everyone, my initials are YK, and I'm about being youthful and knowledgeable.
Hi everyone, my initials are JS, J for joyful to be here today, and S for being a self-starter.
And my name is Enika, my initials are E and V. I'm all about being energetic and valiant. Now that you have met everyone, let's hear from you. Wherever you are, let's do a quick poll to get a little bit more comfortable in this digital room and break some virtual ice. You should be now seeing a little poll window popping up in your Zoom application. I'll give you a little second to find that poll on your screen. We would like to ask you, have you met the future auditor in your organization yet? And there are 4 answers you can choose from. Yes, definitely. We were talking Next Gen all morning. Almost. He or she flew over us a couple of times, but cannot seem to find where to land yet. No, the future auditor is stuck in the upper atmosphere in the spaceship. Unsure. Let me check my calendar. Should I be waiting for someone? So this is our question to you. I'll give you a couple of more seconds to give us your perception, whether you have met the future auditor yet.
So we're getting quite a lot of response to the poll. Nicely done. Anyone else still want to answer the poll?
The options are yes, definitely, almost, no, and unsure.
Right, I'll be ending the poll in 2 seconds. If you want to vote, vote.
All right. Shall we have a look at the results? Wow, this is really exciting. You should see that 53% say that they've almost met the future auditor, and 16% are already confident that they have met the future auditor. This is really exciting, and these results indicate one really important thing. It shows us the transformation towards the future auditor is in motion, and it comes in different sizes and different shapes, also different pace and different perceptions. It varies from company to company. And sometimes it just takes a little longer to get to know the future auditor, but he or she is coming for sure. By the way, this is the environment where the future auditor thrives, in new and interesting patterns, transformations, and really diverse ecosystems. Now you must be wondering, who is this future auditor? How does he or she approach daily work and innovation? And what are the skills that he or she is developing at the moment? I want to bring you in on a thought I recently had about my own role. As project managers, we all learn to seamlessly blend into new environments quickly and to perform our best in these situations. You know what animal does this? The famous chameleon. They're able to change the color based on their environment. Can any of you relate to this feeling? We work with the business, we work with the second line, the third line, different project teams, the audit committee, and all of them want us to fit in perfectly and speak their language. And we also have to move fast, well, definitely faster than a chameleon. Especially now that the borders between internal audit and the business are fading away, collaboration is really key. We as future auditors have even more opportunities to blend in. Really exciting times ahead. To set the scene for today's journey to the future, let me say that the future auditor brings us the new mindset, new behaviors, new knowledge, and new skills. The future auditors are quickly adapting chameleons that your stakeholders need as a sparring partner. Last but not least, they're colleagues that you really enjoy working with. Anna and Sophie, from your perspective, what is your experience in this journey to the future?
Thank you, Annika. And many of you might experience that currently the internal auditor is playing simply a catch-up role. And most of the organizations are living in an increasingly technology-driven, innovation-oriented, risky and disruptive environment. You might also experience that the risks of today are different from the risks of 5 and even 2 years ago. And it also means that we need a different internal auditor, an internal auditor of the future. We see that our clients highlight the following 3 most important expectations from the future internal auditor. Firstly, that's the ability to foresee the emerging risks. The reality is that we live in a very fast-changing, disruptive environment, and we need auditors who are not only helping to identify the existing risks, but at the same time who can foresee emerging risks of the future. And that creates a need for new skills. Secondly, many organizations are in a transformation journey, and their business needs help. And the future internal auditor needs to move from just providing the data to providing the real-time insights to the business supported by that data. And thirdly, it is expected from the future internal auditor to be an assuring and inspiring business partner. But it is not an easy role, and many internal auditors were not really trained this way. However, it is a crucial skill for internal auditors who really want to help the organizations to reach their visions. And it means that besides all technical skills, internal auditor needs to have skills to make his message relevant for the business. And technical skills, of course, they remain absolutely necessary, but they are no longer sufficient for the future internal auditor. And the broad range of non-technical attributes is required as well. And in addition to many skills, behaviors, and attributes, the journey towards a future internal auditor requires, first of all, a mindset change. And what we hear from the market is that the future internal auditor must have the following 3 important mindsets. It's an analytical mindset, so that the auditor is able to use the data to identify the trends and to visualize and to communicate the results in a powerful way. It's a global mindset. It's being open and aware of diversity across the cultures and markets. And it's an innovative mindset. It's being agile, able to adapt, being able to view issues from the multiple perspectives and to apply entrepreneurial skills. And many people ask us, how do you really change the mindset? And most of us have experienced that every journey starts with a small step. And it's better to start small to build the confidence within the audit team itself and within the business. So for example, in my previous company, we strongly promoted the analytical mindset. And we started that journey really small, simply with the vendor master data, by analyzing the risks in that area, followed by identifying the trends, and finally visualizing the results. And we were successful because, first of all, we managed to get a deep understanding of the real process. As you know, it is common that the real life process is different from the process flowcharts on paper. And in order to understand the real process, auditor needs to go to the field, talk to people running the process, see and hear what is happening in the company. Secondly, it's a solid knowledge on how to pull the data from SAP or any other ERP system you might be using. What I have learned is that you can get from SAP so much more than we normally use. And that creates a huge potential on pooling the relevant data and the need to invest in a deep knowledge in the systems used. And finally, we managed to visualize the results and translate them to the language which business speaks. And we did that by simply creating the dashboards together with the business. Now that I joined Protiviti, I was really amazed how strong is the global mindset and how global all teams are. And even before starting any of the assignments, people from around the world are being pulled together. And it's truly a mindset shift to be able to work this way. And the majority of you who are working in a multinational companies will recognize the need of applying a global mindset. And it is crucial that internal audit of the future is having it. The benefits of the innovative mindset might not be immediately obvious. However, the future internal auditors will bring the great results to the organizations by applying it. And it is almost impossible nowadays to provide meaningful insights to the business and staying relevant without being innovative. And yes, even in internal audit. And how do we manage that at Protiviti? All employees without exception are trained in design thinking. In the beginning, I thought, what is this? Why do I need it? But then I realized that by applying design thinking methodologies in internal audit, that will open the doors to more creative solutions and more powerful results. And Danica will elaborate on that later on. Changing mindsets is really not easy. And let's move to Sophie, who has a lot of experience in internal audit field and is in charge of managing the change at Zurich Insurance. Sophie, welcome. It's really good to have you here. And we're curious about your experience on what was needed to change mindsets at Zurich Insurance.
Thanks, Anna, and for inviting me to share my perspective. I couldn't agree more that mindset shift is the foundation for creating the future auditor. And this is something we are passionate about at Zurich. It isn't easy, and if everyone should prepare themselves a bit of a long haul. This is a journey that Zurich Group Audit has been on for some years, but the great news is there's lots of small, tangible steps you can all do to make a difference. At Zurich, we have our mindset grounded in our principles, and these principles are how we want everybody to make their decisions. Firstly, everyone is judged on their outcomes, not on the more traditional measures, say time spent. It encourages people to think differently about how to stand out rather than being the last one in the office. With all of us digitally working nowadays, no one knows how long you spend at your desk, so let's make the time that you're there matter. Secondly, work is allocated agnostic of location. COVID has taught us that we can audit pretty much fully remotely. So why would you match skills to audits based on location when you can match it on competency and capability? This has opened up a whole host of opportunities for our people and created a really strong global community, as most of our teams are created around a cultural and skills mix. And thirdly, and probably most importantly, we put a large focus on embracing a growth mindset. And growth we define into two categories, one in learning and one in innovation. So if we start with learning, what does that mean in a group audit context within Zurich? Firstly, we encourage everybody to attain professional qualifications, but require it for manager and above. We also have established what we call competency networks, which create a learning environment for our people to enhance their technical skills, from beginner to expert, with a community feel which regularly connects, defined learning pathways to advance that technical skill, supported by the experts in that technical competency. And the focus here is not just on the skills of today, but the skills we need for tomorrow. And then finally, we have 100% of group audit trained in data awareness, a smaller cohort focused on data analytics, and then a small group of data scientists. We made an analytical mindset available for whoever wants to take on this skill set and change, but recognize that an analytical outcome isn't for everybody. And so it's all about how you approach the problem rather than necessarily have the solution to address it. So these steps all coupled together and acknowledging that everybody learns at different pace have really helped us advance our growth mindset. Now, if we turn to innovation, we actually have a dedicated team who focus on operating our innovation funnel. And the funnels are essentially a way to support our people from taking an idea to embracing change and bringing it to life. I think we all need to acknowledge that change can be scary. The word innovation can be scary, and having a team that can take a really small idea and help it come to fruition has paid dividends for embracing an innovative culture within group audit in Zurich. And we heavily promote that we want innovation to come from within rather than something that we buy in, and that we support idea meritocracy. So where the person who had the idea is just as credible regardless of role or rank, as long as they can champion it through to completion. Since introducing and embracing these concepts, we've really seen innovation become completely ingrained within group audit. And even over the past year, where pressure has been high to deliver the audit plan, and I'm sure you've all experienced a very challenging personal circumstances, we've actually seen an uptick in the rate and the ambition of internally generated innovation. So to me, this gives credit to everyone embracing that growth and change mindset and really finding that personal satisfaction for feeling empowered to make the difference of who they want to be. And maybe a bit cheesy to say, but really embracing the future auditor.
Thank you, Sophie, for providing your insight from Zurich Insurance. What an exciting journey of really tangible steps. So the future auditor needs to master a variety of skills, right? What about technical skills, technology, something that could be really effective in daily work? Angelica, can you give us some examples?
Thanks, Enika. Yes. So from the technical skills perspective, something really interesting in the tooling and methodology panorama is process mining. Let me try to give you some flavor of it. So in my career, I've done a lots of operational audits, compliance audit, finance audit, and for all of them, the first thing I've always done was understanding the process by mapping the process flow, right? So I've invested lots of time for preparing and organizing interviews with process owners, stakeholders, in order to understand the various activities, execution methods, roles, responsibilities, always with the risk of not grasping all aspects or the main pain points to focus on, and always basing and planning my work on what I was told, only relying on it. Not to mention the frustration sometimes coming from the fact that many key processes for our job, let's think about purchase to pay, order to cash, just to name a few, are fully managed on operating system that track all the information that we need as an auditor. What a waste then. Well, Imagine now that there is a new technology called process mining that collects all the data in these systems and easily process them, granting you access to the clear image of the whole as-is process and all its features and all its variants, allowing you to investigate further until you reach the root cause of these variants. Wow. Process mining will become your best friend for audit scoping. And now another example. Let's talk about sampling. Now think to how it is when you need to prepare your sample of item for the testing and think about the results you get from this analysis. Sometimes the process goes smoothly and nothing comes out, and some other times some controls fail, but you are unable to define the extent of the problem. Maybe it's a minor one, but multiplied for all the other cases you were unable to spot in your sample. Maybe it would be exactly what affects the performance of the whole process, or where major compliance risk is hidden. Well, now think again about whether this process mining allows you to identify immediately all elements of the process that do not present problems and follow the right flow, and then allows you to isolate the variants from the flow so that you can focus only on those potential high-risk items, providing real added value to the auditors who will see the report arrive with concrete observation and focus action plans. So here, process mining will be your best friend for increasing your testing effectiveness. Yes, the auditor of the future, this chameleon, right? In my opinion, will blend with this process mining pattern, which allow him or her to have an immediate perception of the process, which him or her will have to provide assurance for, and to immediately have a clear picture of what needs to be investigated and tested and improved. And finally, imagine if you can use this technology, this picture, this process that process mining is giving you, and combine to each step detected the related risks and applicable controls, and run automatic tests on the basis of the data that process mining has collected and processed for you, applying analytics and automatized controls. You will have immediate results, real time, anytime. Interesting, right? But we were talking about automatized control, but this is yet another story. Yanis, can you maybe walk us through automation?
Yes, thank you, Angelica. Yes, the robots are here. RPA, or robotic process automation, is safe to say no longer new. Whether in internal audit or in any other business processes, robots are here and have been super busy. Strong ERPs are now commonplace, and many manual repetitive tasks are being replaced. Things are now generally done faster, more efficiently, and with barely any errors. So you might think, well, if the system works, and if it is so perfect, surely there's no need for an auditor. But you would be mistaken. The future auditor, that ever-adaptable chameleon, has a very, very important role to play. One of my previous employers, as perhaps some of your employers have already done, wanted to implement a standard RPA process on lower-tier account reconciliations using a specific account hierarchy. The concept was good, the monthly entries were standardized, and they were very repetitive. The plan was to bring in a supplier, explain what we needed, and set it up. Now, how hard could that actually be? As soon as a robot was implemented, the first closing was performed with the consultant, and it went fantastic. Verified savings, closing performed earlier than expected, using less manpower, and everyone was thrilled. So for the second closing, the company wanted to go one step further, include more accounts manually without the use of the consultant, to take advantage of higher than budgeted savings. That did not work as intended. Due to the sudden change of account scope, the implementation left gaps in terms of incident management and business continuity. The second closing took 3 weeks and was done manually and revealed compliance issues. Humans 1, robots 0. But that's where the future auditor comes in. The auditor, now more of a business partner for the company, should incorporate RPA knowledge to have a say in a secured robot implementation lifecycle. Every domain of general IT controls, such as user access management, change management, operations, and program development, is important to be reviewed. From choosing your supplier, to implementation, to defining an RPA center of excellence even, a future auditor should partner with the business to identify and highlight potential risks. This is a role that our dear robots cannot yet assume, and this is where the future auditor's chameleonic value is truly highlighted. But the future auditor can also use robots on his or her team. Who wouldn't want a T1000 or an R2D2 on their team? I would. But we must remember, they work best with processes that are structured, that are rule-based, and that are repetitive. As an auditor, one of the most notable hassles is data acquisition. I think every person on this call can agree. And it's one of the things that all the teams I was part of struggled with. You have emails going back and forth, parameters for files not being helpful, and excessive data collected. If you're lucky, you can set up a partnership with your IT department. They would then define an internal audit specific ERP function that then you could run to prepare your audit. But even those require more than one iteration, since our dear IT experts do not always have the same perspective on risk than audit. The future auditor can use RPA to find a solution for that. In my past life, we reviewed some basic ERP functions to give us the widest range of data available. We asked the auditees to run those 5 simple functions when providing us with the data before the audits. Literally anyone could run those. We then wrote some simple scripts in our RPA tool that allowed for standardized data acquisition, cleansing, and data analysis. We generated specific data sets for each audit section, which made our standard test much simpler to run. Our pre-audit preparation was cut in half, and we could focus on more strategic aspects of the audit. So yeah, thank you, R2D2. Another aspect where robots can help is on testing. We perform tests based on arbitrary samples, depending on what kind of tests we run. But if your database is standard, and if it is rule-based, rather than testing a sample, a robot could test the entire database overnight. With just a bit of extra work, it can even notify you once you reach critical threshold to help with tracking any compliance topics or any KPIs. That makes addressing failures and defining follow-ups much faster. Yes, the robots are well and truly here, and they have been a source for change for many processes and companies. They are, however, a tool, and like any tool, it works under specific conditions and can be misused. All of you future auditors on the call today have nothing to fear and all to gain. Your chameleon role is now officially enhanced. You will be instrumental in ensuring optimal setup and guide the robots to improve processes, to improve the internal audit function, and improve its partnership with its stakeholder. Join us and let's see together how RPA can work for you. Let us all help the robots and reach our ultimate goal together, an easy, continuous monitoring of controls, or as any auditor would call it, paradise. Wouldn't you agree, Jana?
Absolutely. Thank you, Yanis, for that. When we talk about continuous monitoring, we go beyond what the internal audit functions have typically done in the past. We go past the limitations of so-called traditional approach by exploiting the potential of data analytics and by automating testing activities. Continuous monitoring provides real-time, ongoing view of how defined controls compare to reality, meaning actual execution of transactions and processes. It helps us understand where potential risks may emerge, and it also allows for more timely response. And so where we can apply continuous monitoring and how? One example would be automation of controls and enhanced testing by leveraging data analytics. For instance, testing of 100% of the population to identify the outliers. Adding visualization tools to testing results allows for concise but efficient representation of the outcomes and anomalies. It allows us to really focus our attention on identified exceptions, critically analyze them, and efficiently identify the root causes. Another example would be an early warning analysis. Such analysis can help uncover significant patterns and potential risks, by applying data mining techniques and visualization of transaction flows. This brings us back to Angelica's earlier point around process mining. Let's imagine that I work for an organization that has the ambition to improve their ongoing monitoring and reporting, but is not yet there when it comes to the implementation of some of the powerful tools like data analytics or process mining. As an auditor, can I support the implementation of continuous monitoring? Can I influence anything at all from my position? Well, it comes back to the culture and mindset of our audit teams. I'm a person who enjoys learning new things, and if I encounter a new problem, I want to find out more and find a way to solve it. Transformation of a business function or culture is a journey for every organization, and that journey starts with people, with us. If for a moment you would put yourselves in the shoes of an auditor of today, I'm sure you will feel inspired by all the technologies and support tools you could leverage. But how to apply them effectively? It's too many challenges out there, right? I might not have the analytical or technical skills. The business data may be scattered across multiple systems, and we have a challenge to consolidate them. We're already stretched with all the existing work. And where do we even find the time to learn and explore, and so on? The list is endless. What it comes down to is the attitude and drive of every one of the audit team members. We need to be pioneers and those who like to experiment and innovate, who can change their color as a chameleon and speak the language of the business and the technology. Continuous monitoring may feel like an adventure for many of us, and it is. We need to bring our business experts on this journey with us and involve our entire audit teams. If we pause and ask them a question, how does the future of audit look to you? What answer are we going to get? Talking to our stakeholders is key to uncover where the internal audit can bring most value and how. What are the reports we want to produce? How frequently? How can we automate production of such reports? What are the periodic measures and indicators we want to keep an eye on? And what kind of conversations we want to have with the business? There is no clear-cut solution. As internal auditors, we simply need to experiment, co-create together, innovate, and keep an open mind to be able to keep up with the pace with the advancements in the business. Annika, any tips from you on how to open such conversation with our business stakeholders? Or better said, how to drive the conversation in a different style, while at the same time not losing the track of what the role of internal audit is, meaning providing assurance over existing control environment.
Great question, Jana. I'm really happy to introduce another very useful tool that the Future Auditor is using. It's a powerful toolkit for collaboration called design thinking. You might wonder, isn't this for graphic designers or client experience managers? And you would be right. When you come to think of it, aren't we all designers in our daily work? We're designing different controls, making them efficient. We're visualizing data and molding recommendations for the business. It is really inspiring to listen to designers how they solve tricky questions with their stakeholders and use these tips and tricks in audit work. In a nutshell, at the core of design thinking is a mindset of observing, collecting proof, synthesizing the findings, and providing the stakeholders with a tested, desired solution, which they absolutely love. Isn't this what auditors already do? Of course they do. The difference is the way of reasoning and the approach. A classic auditor checks if the reality complies with the defined standards. The future auditor, however, has a set of skills and methodologies to navigate through a situation where the patterns and standards are still unknown. Combined with ideation and iterative prototyping, the future auditors arrive together with their stakeholders at a great actionable outcome. You must be curious to know, what is this toolkit that the future auditor brings to the table? You might have already seen them using lots of markers and post-its. What do they do with them? So here it is. Design thinking is a mix and match set of methods to capture and observe the needs and pain points of your stakeholders and to design an outside-the-box recommendation together. A trained future auditor helps to dig deeper and go further. How to use these methodologies in audit work, I hear you ask? I was speaking to Yanis about this the other day. Do you know this feeling when you come into an audit kickoff meeting, all prepared with your preliminary analysis, ready to introduce the team and how you will collaborate with the stakeholders? And there it is, the awkward silence. Uncomfortable, right? Now imagine the future auditor stepping into a physical or virtual meeting full of energy, creating an atmosphere where everyone is engaged and sharing their feedback, concerns, ambitions, and it all happens in a very collaborative and inclusive way. The future auditor seeks to really understand the process user, challenge assumptions, redefine problems, to identify solutions which were not visible before. Your stakeholders will see the difference. They will appreciate the extra mile that you have already gone for the preparation and the team building. There's a number of other examples which kinds of design thinking workshops can be held during the audit work and beyond. For instance, once I brought in a diverse team of auditors and business stakeholders together to challenge the way an organization currently shares information. In only 2 hours, we created 96 ideas and 3 mock-ups for an online platform improving transparency in that firm. Yep, the future auditor will really spice up your conversations and build strong relationships. Why should this magical spark stay only in the area of audit? Imagine the future auditor being invited by the business to conduct such workshops in other contexts as well. Through their involvement in other projects, they could see and address potential audit topics before they come pressing. This way, instead of fixing issues in the third line of defense, the future auditor can be a sparring partner from the start to design things right. To summarize, the future auditor has the right mindset and a powerful toolkit that helps to break the ice quickly, makes everyone's voice heard, and design great solutions together. All right, so much for the future people and innovation skills. Anna, how would you summarize this journey of future auditor and how it is embedded in the overall transformation of the audit function?
Yeah, actually, Annika, everything what we discussed about the mindset, the skills, the capabilities of a future auditor, as well also as all the tools, they are part of a Protiviti Next Gen Internal Audit concept, which is covering a broad range of internal audit governance, methodology, and enabling technology topics. And Next Gen Internal Audit concept is a nice summary of our today discussion, as it presents the whole journey of a future internal auditor from setting internal audit strategy to addressing internal audit topics in an innovative and agile way and deploying tools such as RPA and process mining. And transforming the function is a work in progress, with much work to be done. There is really no one-size-fits-it-all approach. But the future is no longer hypothetical, and it is here and now. The future internal auditor has arrived. It's a bold statement, but we believe it's true. And we're curious how our story resonates with you. And there are also some questions which we can answer. For example, where really to start, where the organization can start, and for example, with data analytics skills. Angelica, would you like to answer this one?
Yes, actually, this is a great question. So I have to open a small parenthesis. So as we said from the very beginning, the path to the next gen digital transformation, and in this case, the implementation of data analytics is a journey. And there are many paths that can be taken based on the objective that each organization defines for the short and long-term period. Having said that, in order to begin the journey towards the data analytics, there are, in my opinion, 4 fundamental pillars to consider. So the first one is the deployment strategy, right? Do we want to incorporate data analytics for context analysis and scoping, or for operational testing? The approach will be totally different. Number two, onboarding the right people. It will be very important to have, for example, the commitment of IT, both in order to get and read in the right way data, and also to get the right access to them, right? The third pillar is the data preparation. So before even starting do the work on data, the fundamental part lies in the data preparation, data collection, data cleaning, data validation, etc. And the last pillar is the definition of objectives for your analysis. So before starting with that analysis, it's necessary to set your own analysis objectives in order to get the right message from them and not to get lost. Well, this was just a small anticipation of what can be the beginning of this journey. More than happy to discuss further, based maybe on concrete needs and objectives.
Thank you, Angelica. And there is also another interesting question: how really to bring all these messages to our departments, and especially how to bring people along? Sophie, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's all about grounding it in the purpose. So something as an individual can connect what they contribute to that purpose and what their daily activities contribute to that purpose, rather than being so pie in the sky they can't relate. But it's something they can tangibly do every day. They can feel that difference, and communicate, and just keep reminding everybody of why they're doing it and what they contribute towards, and thanking everybody, because it does require that discretionary effort. But people get the satisfaction from it because they see the rewards in not only their work product, but in the relationships and the connections and their own personal growth.
Thank you, Sophie. And before we close this seminar and before we say goodbye, let me leave you with this thought from our side. There are three kinds of people: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who simply ask what happened. And if you want to be the one who makes things happen, I hope this session inspired you to reach out to us.
So thank you to the audience, the audience who've been online from a lot of countries listening to this. We've had a lot in this 1 hour. It's been an intense hour covering design thinking, process mining, robotic process automation, and on Darren's side, on what amounts to a very large amount of learning going around that. I will share one slide with you, which is, leave it on the screen for a couple of minutes. It says, thank you to all. The contact details are here if you want to contact Protiviti or Darren or myself. Protiviti can be reached on contact@protiviti.ch. Darren has his email address there, and I myself have, I use the LinkedIn, so please contact me through LinkedIn. Thank you all. That's the end of the seminar.